Alexa here with the where I write about farm-to-table recipes, homesteading, and all natural living from our homestead in Duval. And today I'm going to share with you 9 ways that you can incorporate more farm-to-table into your home and lifestyle. So we moved to a farming community in the Pacific Northwest a couple years ago, and we have ever since then been really involved in buying local food and growing some of our own food, and certainly trying to buy organic as much as possible. And this really started a long time ago. My family was organic lifestyle, organic food since I was a kid, and so I always knew kind of what that meant. But it's something that I started doing more and more even when I lived in the city, trying to find the best food that I could and trying to understand really where our food was coming from. Now, to me, having an organic farm-to-table lifestyle isn't necessarily just about buying organic, although it's great to buy organic because in general the food has fewer pesticides and anything carcinogenic, but there is so much more that we have started doing recently that I thought I would share with you today in case you wanted to do some more and kind of wanted to know where to start. So one way you can do this if buying organic is seemingly expensive where you live, because some places organic produce is not very easily accessible, so you can grow your own vegetables. And this might sound daunting for someone who has never grown anything before, but whether it is a head of kale or tomatoes, anything, if you have any dirt in your yard, or you can create your own little potted plants if you live in something like an apartment without land, you can grow a lot of things. I did this when I lived in an apartment and didn't have any idea what I was doing, but I put some pots in front of a window, and actually that's a really great way to grow things because the sun coming through the window like magnifies the intensity of the sun, so I had kind of a greenhouse effect going on. So that's actually an advantage, because if you only have dirt outside, you are really subject to the weather and you have to follow and kind of know more about what you're doing. But with that said, we started growing tomatoes and vegetables in our yard without really any knowledge. We just simply put some seeds and some dirt, and that worked out really well. And that's a great way to eat organic without spending a lot of money because seeds are so inexpensive, and then you just get recurring food. The second way to eat more farm to table is to eat local and find a local farmer. A couple ways you can do this are finding a local farm stand or simply just searching for farmers near you. For example, we get our honey from a certain farmer, and then we get meat from a certain farmer, and we get vegetables from a farm stand which gathers from several different farmers who grow vegetables. Looking around your area and finding a local farmer is really helpful. My third tip is shop at a local grocery store. Now, I didn't really understand what this meant until I understood it. So I always went to the big grocery stores like Whole Foods and Safeway, which is what we have around here. And I liked these stores because they had everything I needed, and they had organic, and they even had some, quote, local products. But I actually later learned that a local food item that you see at the store, if it's just labeled local, it doesn't mean that it was actually grown local. So for example, if meat was processed locally, they can put the local stamp on it even though the animal was raised somewhere else. And I didn't know that, so that word local actually isn't, I don't think it's regulated. But the other benefit of shopping at a local grocery store is you might find some food that is not in one of the big box stores. So we have a local grocery store, and that is the only place I can get raw milk. So the dairy delivers there because raw milk is not sold, in my area at least, in some of the bigger stores. Now, there are also co-ops you can buy from. We have one near us called PCC, and that's also a really good way. They have some really good eggs that are actually local, and that's a nice way as well. So my fourth tip is to raid your pantry for artificial ingredients. Most people want to live really healthy lifestyles and don't really know where to start, and it's conflicting sometimes if you feel like eating healthy food is going to be more expensive. But one really simple thing you can do is simply remove all of the artificial food that you already have. So a lot of food, if it's bought at the store, is processed, it has preservatives in it, sugars, lots of hidden ingredients that you really don't want to be consuming, and canned goods as well. So you have canned pumpkin, canned tomatoes. All of those foods can be made really easily by just buying a pumpkin or buying tomato. And so if you just start with one thing at a time, like say pumpkin, learning how to roast a squash, learning how to make tomato soup from tomatoes, then that will eliminate some of the canned and processed goods that you already own. So it's kind of a transition into eating whole foods. Whether or not it's a locally grown tomato, the first step would be just to use a tomato, right? Instead of from a can. So you can kind of start there. I thought I would show you some things that we have on hand at all times that we make ourselves. So for example, sourdough starter. We make our own sourdough starter, and with this sourdough starter we can make bread, and we can make pancakes, we can make, you know, just about any bread product. And this is really nice to have because if we have a snow day or any reason that we can't leave the house for long periods of time, or we have a lot of people over that we have to feed, then we can just whip this starter out and we have bread. And so it eliminates the need to buy bread, although we still do sometimes. I really love having a starter around. It's always on my counter and I'm always using it for tortillas and so many other things. We also always have fresh organic berries. Now this is one of those things that you really should buy organic because they are not coated with a skin or anything like that. So anything that the farmer sprays on the berries, you're gonna eat. So we are always really careful about where our berries are coming from. But we eat berries for breakfast and with dinner on our salad, and it's just so healthy to get the nutrients from the berries, antioxidants. So we're constantly eating berries. So that's something that I try to always have on hand. Another thing you can make really easily yourself is yogurt. So all you need to make yogurt is milk and a Greek yogurt culture, and you can buy these cultures on Amazon. I like to buy them from a company called Cultures for Health. I will link that below if you want to check that out. But it's so easy. You just put the milk in the Instant Pot, heat it up to 180 degrees, let it cool to 120, and then add the cultures and then press the yogurt button. So that is the beauty of the Instant Pot, is it makes making yogurt really, really easy. You can make a gallon at a time, and we use the yogurt for our smoothies as a snack, and it's just one of those things that we can serve at any time, so it's another one of those things we don't have to buy at the grocery store. Eggs are another staple, so we put eggs in a lot of things. We can put eggs in bread products. We also eat eggs just on their own for breakfast every morning. We have chickens that lay eggs, so we are constantly eating a lot of eggs. I buy a couple dozen at a time. And of course meat, we eat a lot of beef and chicken, and then we'll also occasionally throw in some lamb. And during the summer months, we like to have wild smoked salmon, but that's one of those things that we try to only eat if it's wild, because if it's farm raised, I've just heard really bad things about it. So luckily, being in the Pacific Northwest, we have access to wild salmon. And if we don't, then I buy a wild smoked salmon. So my fifth tip, if you want to live more farm to table lifestyle, is to use all of your food up. I am so guilty of this. When I started making chicken many years ago, I would just throw the chicken out, and I thought it was done when we were done. And there were two things wrong with this. First of all, there was probably a lot of meat left on that chicken that I wasn't taking off the bone because I just didn't really know that it was there, or just thought I was done, or maybe I was lazy, I don't know. Secondly, the bones can be made into bone broth, and we are doing this constantly. We always have new bone broth on rotation, and I have some on my Instant Pot right now. And then the bone broth can be made into soup, chili, sauces, taco seasoning. We literally use it for everything. That's another way you can preserve your food and not have to buy it. Bone broth at the store near us is like $6, $7, $8, so expensive. So I have paid off my Instant Pot. I've paid off so many things just by reusing our chicken and making bone broth. Okay, my sixth tip is to go to farmers markets. Most places have farmers markets nearby at least, so look up where your nearest farmers market is. The best part about going to farmers markets is you do get fresh food at the market, but if not, you can at least meet farmers, and so you can figure out where you can get some more veggies, where you can get some more meat. It's also really fun, and it's a great way to get that local food. If you really feel like you can't get to any farmers markets, you can't figure out where the local food is, and maybe it's just not near you, another way you can eat more farm to table is to order food online. One of those ways is ButcherBox. We used to use ButcherBox for a long time before we found a local farmer for our meat, and that was, in my opinion, our second best option, because you order in bulk and the meat is 100% grass-fed and pasture-raised, and so to us, I felt like that was the best thing at the time that we could do. I also want to share this website. If you go to localharvest.org, you can type in your zip code and it will show you where all the closest farmers markets are, farmers, places to buy local food. So it's really helpful. Again, that is localharvest.org. Tip number 8 is to get a good old-fashioned cookbook. There are a lot of cookbooks out there like Whole30 and keto and grain-free and dairy-free and sugar-free and all of these different types of diets that you can imagine there's a cookbook for. And I actually suggest, my favorite thing to do is to get a cookbook that just teaches you how to cook. When I'm looking for a cookbook, I want to look for how to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner and appetizers, and how to make sourdough starter, and how to ferment vegetables. And it really teaches you how to cook from the ground up, I guess you could say. Learning how to ferment dairy products and vegetables and grain create a more easily digestible food. And I've heard people trying these things and actually being able to tolerate them a lot better. So So it's worth giving it a try if you haven't already. One of my favorite books is called Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon, I think it is, and I will link it below, but she has so many recipes in there and teaches you how to do things from scratch. So how to ferment, how to create bread, and all of those things. So it's not just a recipe book, it's a how to cook book. My last tip for creating a more farm-to-table lifestyle is to have clean air. We have a lot of toxins floating around our world and maybe even pollution if you live near the city. So it's really important to breathe good air. So one way to do this really easily, no matter where you live, is to buy plants for your home. As humans, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide, and plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. So it's a really nice way to circulate and cleanse the air in your home to have plants. Well, I hope you enjoyed these tips to live a more farm-to-table lifestyle. I'm sure if you were not interested in living farm-to-table or eating organic, that you probably wouldn't still be watching this video. But if you are interested and you feel like you don't know where to start, I would encourage you to just do one thing at a time. Maybe learn how to make sauerkraut. That's one of the easiest things you can do. You just need cabbage, water, and salt. Or you can learn how to make yogurt, and you just buy some yogurt cultures online and combine it with milk. It's just that easy. So just doing one thing at a time can really lead to a lot of success in the future. Maybe plant some basil or rosemary, and then you have some fresh herbs for the whole summer and you don't have to buy any. So it's really quite easy. All right, well, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new to my page, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and like on Facebook. Every week I post a new farm-to-table recipe, homesteading tips and ideas, and natural living. Thanks for stopping by the Homestead.